Hi, everybody. So one of the things I wanted to go through this week was to get you started on your journey for your project. And first of all, I wanted to apologize for sending off the project with due dates before the big announcement came out about changing spring break, which then made me have to rework all of the due dates for everything and potentially led to some confusion. So I'm sorry about that, but pay attention to the revised due dates, which I've put up on Canvas when you're looking to see what's due first. So when you're looking through the instructions, you'll notice that you have two possibilities. You can pick to do a follow-up study, or you can choose to create a community proposal. So you have to pick one. Your choices are to do the follow-up study or the community proposal. Let's talk about the follow-up study just a little bit more first. So we've been doing a few things in class to practice designing follow-up studies, and this is where that practice is going to pay off. If you pick the study proposal, what I'm looking for there is a follow-up study that extends previous research. So here's a few qualities for what I would consider to be different strategies or techniques for coming up with a good follow-up study. Keeping in mind that I'm not looking for a pure replication, I'm looking for an extension of previous research. So what does that look like? That means that you are changing it up in some way. You might be adding an additional level to a condition or adding a brand new variable or condition that wasn't there before to see what it looks like under a variety of circumstances that are different. Or once again, adding another factor that hasn't been studied yet. You might take a look at different studies combined together in a mashup. So you might, for example, take the procedure of study A and apply it to the theories of study B. Or you might take the variables of study A and the variables of study B and see what they look like together into a single study. Or you might flip the perspective. So, for example, when I was coming up, when I was part of a research team in graduate school, I didn't come up with this. I was part of a team that came up with this. We were exploring the phenomenon of social rejection and physical pain. And the basic theory was that social rejection caused a similar activation in the brain to that of physical pain. And research was done to confirm that it was the same pathway. And the research head, Nathan DeWall, who was in charge of this group project, said, well, okay, so if it's the same pathway, what would taking painkillers do? Which is a way to flip the perspective. If indeed it uses the same pathway, someone who takes painkillers for 3 weeks that affect the central nervous system, like acetaminophen, should basically have less pain when being socially rejected, similarly to how they'd have less physical pain. So we actually went ahead and did that study, but that's a great example of taking a basic understanding, physical pain and social pain are the same, and looking at it from an interesting and unique perspective. I always provide this disclaimer: do not take massive amounts of acetaminophen when you're experiencing social rejection. It is not good for your liver. The key thing here is that you're expanding the question rather than repeating the question. You're asking a slightly different version of the original question or a brand new question. And you know that it's an extension as opposed to a replication if you have different hypotheses. If your hypotheses are the same, it's a replication. If your hypotheses are different, then it's an extension. And on a side note, if you have different hypotheses, I will want to know why. So it's not enough to just go, I'm going to study how people who are older respond to this particular condition to see if they're different. I want you to have a very good reason for why you expect that particular group to be different and to have research to back it up. So this is going to take a little bit more involvement than you might think. You can also propose a community intervention. I have a list of potential community interventions you can think about online that are relevant to our current time. You can certainly think of your own. That list is not intended to be exhaustive. If you come up with your own idea and you're not sure whether it would work, you could always run it by me in a quick email, or once again, that's kind of what the proposal is for, to make sure that you're on the right track and that it will be appropriate to the paper. But the whole notion behind this is getting back to the roots of social psychology, which is applying research to address community issues. That's one of the things that Kurt Lewin was a big proponent of. And we want to make sure to have that applied nature of social psychology to be a possibility for you to explore a little bit more. The key is that your intervention has to be evidence-based, so that you're not just saying, I want people to get along better, that you're saying, here's a study that showed how people can resolve conflicts, or here's a study that shows how we persuade others, and that you're applying that research to your intervention that is evidence-based as opposed to just something that you made up. One of the things you have to do is you have to find some sources. So I have a video that I posted back before our spring break was extended that went through a little bit more about how to use the database. As a reminder, you need to find articles that are peer-reviewed, primary sources. You know it's a primary source when they have a participant section and a results section. I want you to use PsycInfo as your database as opposed to Google. And once again, the video walks you through how to use PsycInfo to do your searches. This is one of those times where talking to me is really going to be your friend and where you really want to make use of my office hours. So make sure that you're in communication with me as you go. And if you're struggling with finding sources, talk to me as opposed to flailing around in the wind by yourself. You're not alone. I'm here. I can help you out. Keep in mind you want to use good search terms. So make sure that your terms are appropriate. And if you're having a lot of trouble finding search terms, you might look at the keywords of an article that you found that might work. Usually those keywords can help direct you to additional good articles. Also, if you find a single good article, that good article has a whole bunch of related sources in its introduction that you can then use that are related. It's important that you find a PDF of the full article, not just the abstract. I want you to actually read the entire article and be able to show it to me in PDF form if I ask for it. So you need the full article and you need to download that entire document, which includes not just the abstract, but the full introduction, the methods, the results, and the discussion and the references. It should be an entire PDF of an article that reads very similarly to the readings that we've done for class. You have to find 4 sources, and one of your sources can be an article that we've read so far. So you can pick an article from readings as one of your 4 sources, or from the Course Reserves that works too. You can use one of those as your 4, but the other 3 have to be external. I would say, on a side note, if you're doing a mashup, if you're combining 2 studies together, then you still have to find 3 other sources that are about that related topic to expand your understanding of that area and to better bolster your hypotheses. Once again, the video helps you walk through a PsycInfo database search, but please do let me know if you have questions. Also, our librarians are remote currently, but Alicia Copley is a fantastic librarian who is more than responsive and would be happy to reply to any email questions that you have about how to use these databases as well. So your very first product that you have to have is your proposal. I'm looking for a page of typed information about what you plan to do. That's relatively informal, but that lays out your plan. And I also want you to attach a references page. The video that I walked you through shows you how you can access information for an APA citation for the references that you found. I do want you to have those ordered by alphabetical order by first author on a references page. Check out your How to Cite an APA Style document for an example of what a references page looks like. But I want you to upload that 1-page type proposal and your references page to Canvas on April 3rd. So you've got some time to talk to me, to look for sources, to think through your plan, to talk with your classmates about it in the discussion forums, and once again, to talk to me. Let me know if you have questions.